guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to be doing another Pretty Little Liars recap and reaction video for you. And this is going to be a reaction and recap for the 5 Years Forward premiere that just aired. And can I just say, it is so good to have Pretty Little Liars back on the air and back in my life, because whenever it goes on hiatus like this for months and months on end, my Tuesdays, they just don't feel normal with that Pretty Little Liars on. It just doesn't feel right. But I just want to let you guys know, if you don't want any spoilers or you aren't caught up on the new season, to go ahead and click off this video, because obviously I will be doing a recap and I will be giving you all the spoilers for the new episode that just aired. So let's go ahead and get into it. So this episode starts off, and obviously it is going 5 years forward into the future from where the season finale left off, where we found out that Cece or Charlotte is A, which I still am so unhappy with that decision, but it's okay. Cece is A, you move on with your life. And it shows that Allie is now a teacher at Rosewood High, and she's teaching in her classroom, and this doctor comes in. His name is Dr. Rollins, I think was his name, and I kind of am getting the drift that I think Allie is either married to this guy or she's dating this guy. I can't remember the name she wrote on the chalkboard in the season finale that is her maiden or her married name now. I think it was Rollins though. So Dr. Rollins is telling Allie that a judge has set a hearing for Charlotte to be released from the hospital that she has been in since everybody discovered she was A, and she was basically ruining the girls' lives. So then it goes into the sequence where Allie is writing letters to all of the girls, and all the girls are kind of spread out around the country where they're at now in their new lives 5 years forward. So it just shows all the girls getting this letter from Allie saying that it would mean a lot to them, or it would mean a lot to her if they would come back to Rosewood for this hearing to have Charlotte released, and she really wants to see all them. So all the girls come and meet up at the brew, and they're just all sitting there talking about life before they go and meet up with Allie. And we find out that Arya is dating some guy. I want to say his name was Liam. I think she's dating a guy named Liam, and she's writing books and all that stuff. Which, one couple down, of course, totally depressing. Ezra and Arya are officially broken up, and I want to cry. Then Hannah is talking about how she is engaged, and we find out that she is not engaged to Caleb. No, Caleb has broken up too. And then Spencer is no longer with Toby, and Emily is with nobody either. So we find out that all of our favorite couples have been broken up and they are not back together. And I don't know how Pretty Little Liars can play us all like that and have none of our favorite characters together. Like, I found that out, and it was kind of like a knife going into my soul that all of my favorite couples are not together anymore. How are you going to play us like that, Pretty Little Liars? How are you going to do that to us? So then Spencer says that she is living in Washington and she is in politics now, and Emily, in the flash of the beginning of the show, we see her working at a bar, and she also has like a bunch of pills and stuff in her purse, so I'm wondering if they're kind of going to make Emily have kind of like a drug habit or something in upcoming episodes. But throughout this episode, we see her with these pills. She looks like she's taking pills. She has some like needles and stuff in her purse, so I don't know where they're going with Emily, but it's kind of looking like she's gonna have a drug problem. And we also find out that Emily's father has also passed away, which was so upsetting. I loved Emily's dad on the show. He was one of my favorite characters. So to find out Emily's dad passes away on top of it, it's just like, seriously, could this be more depressing? Come on. After we see Emily and her mom talking and hinting at the fact that her dad has passed away, it shows Hannah and her mom, and they are at what used to be Radley, and Radley is now turned into this like hotel bar kind of lounge thing. And apparently Hannah's mom is now the owner of this place, so I don't know when Hannah's mom became like completely loaded that she could afford to buy and redo this entire Radley sanitarium and turn it into this like amazing hotel thing. So apparently somewhere down the line Hannah's mom got some big money and she is loaded now, which good for her, good for Hannah's mom. So then Arya goes back to the brew by herself, and she finds out that Ezra is actually living in the apartment above the brew. And she walks in, and then Ezra walks down the stairs, and they have this really like intense longing stare between the two of them, and I'm just like, why aren't you guys together anymore? You're just so cute, I don't understand. So apparently Ezra has been working in South America. He was building houses and doing all the kind of stuff that Emily was doing in a couple past seasons. So Ezra had been in South America, and apparently something really horrific happened on his trip. We're not still sure the details what happened, but Arya's dad said something along the lines of 15 people that were in his troop had died or been taken, and I think Ezra had been dating this woman Nicole that we had seen in the season finale that he met that worked with Emily. I think they're dating, or they were friends or something along those lines, but he's talking to Arya about how devastated he is that this Nicole girl has been missing and nobody knows where she is, and he just seems like a mess. So I think Ezra's storyline for the season is kind of going to be really dark and depressing, and they're kind of making him more along the lines of he's been really damaged and dark. So we'll see what happens with Ezra, but in the season premiere, he definitely looked like he was going through a lot of stuff. Then we also see Spencer talking to her mother, and apparently Spencer's mother is now running for state senator. So Spencer has been working in Washington, and I think she is a lobbyist in Washington. So Spencer's mom says that encouraged her to run for state senate. So we see a lot of Spencer's mom running for the senate in this episode. We see all of the girls meeting up in Allie's classroom, and Allie is just telling all the girls that Charlotte is having this meeting with a judge to be released from the hospital, and she's just pleading with the girls to please just say that they aren't threatened by Charlotte and they don't feel afraid of her, and that they would be okay with her being released because that's the only way she's going to get out of the hospital and be reunited with her family. So then after the girls meet with Allie, they all go to this speech that Spencer's mom is having for running for state senator. And Spencer, at this speech, she runs into Mona, and Mona is telling her how, I guess Mona is in politics now too, and they got into the same career. And she's asking Spencer if she still has nightmares, because Mona says she still has nightmares all the time about what happened to them, and Spencer just kind of gives her like this weird look, and then they walk away and Spencer goes on stage with her mother. And then after Spencer's mom's speech, it flashes to all of the girls, and they're inside of the courtroom, and they all have to give their statements to the judge about how they feel about Charlotte being released. So Spencer, Hannah, and Emily all stand up and they give their speech and say that they don't feel threatened by Charlotte anymore and that she should be released and they aren't afraid of her. But then Aria sits down to give her speech, and she starts giving a speech trying to say that she's okay with it, and then she starts having this kind of flashback moment to when she was in the dollhouse, when she was locked up by A or Charlotte, and she kind of starts panicking a little bit, and she ends up saying that she is not okay with Charlotte being released at all, and she feels that she shouldn't be released, and she's scared, she still has nightmares all the time, she panics all the time, and she would not be okay with Charlotte being released from the hospital in any way, shape, or form. So then after the girls leave the courtroom, they leave Allie and they all go to Radley, which is now the hotel slash bar, whatever the heck it is, that Hannah's mom actually owns, and the girls decide to get them some drinks. And obviously, you're going to want to get some drinks after you're sitting in a courtroom debating having the person that was tormenting your entire existence coming out of the hospital, right? Right. So this scene cracked me up so much because it was so obvious that Spencer was just completely lit throughout this whole thing. She just kept being like, oh my god, you guys are so pretty, I love you so much. So while they were out getting drinks, they actually find out that Charlotte had been released from the hospital and now she is out in the open and free again. So obviously finding out that information caused them to drink a couple more drinks. So then it shows the girls all in the hotel suite that they stayed in, and it shows that Hannah is getting a call from Allison, and Allison is just really freaked out and upset, and she's asking if Charlotte had come to the hotel or if they've seen Charlotte, because Charlotte apparently now is missing the night after she got out of the hospital. So then it flashes to Toby and Lorenzo, and they are both still cops, and it shows them they are standing over what looks like a dead body with the coroners there and looking at the body, and we come to find out that the dead body is actually Charlotte. So Charlotte is dead. So after we find out that Charlotte has died, committed suicide, there is this scene with Caleb showing up at Hannah's hotel room. And this scene, it makes me so sad because this is where we find out that Caleb is no longer a thing and they are donezo. And it's just, again, so depressing, adding it to the list of things that are just crushing my soul in this episode, that none of my favorite couples are together anymore. But Caleb shows up and he says that Spencer actually had told him what happened and called him, and that's why he showed up, because he wanted to make sure that Hannah was okay and see if there was anything that he could do to help. He says that he had seen Spencer in Washington also, and then he drops the bomb that he is staying in Spencer's barn at her mother's house. So it's just so weird because it's almost like they're hinting at the fact that something is going to happen or something is going on with Spencer and Caleb. And the thought of Spencer and Caleb as a couple just freaks me out so much. Like, I really hope that's not the case, because if I see Spencer and Caleb hooking up, I'm just gonna be so freaked out. It's absolutely insane. So then it shows Charlotte's funeral, and everybody is attending this funeral, and we just see Charlotte's body at the front, and then all of a sudden everything gets all intense, and then we hear somebody walk in, and it turns and it is Sarah Harvey, and she is walking in wearing the black veil, and she's being escorted in by some guy, and throughout this whole episode they keep hinting at the fact that they did something really bad to Sarah Harvey the night that they found out that Charlotte was A. They're not saying what they did to Sarah or what happened, but they're hinting at the fact that something went down with Sarah that we did not see in that finale episode. But we see Sarah Harvey walk in, and you can just tell there's so much tension between Sarah Harvey and the girls. They're just like, Sarah is giving the death stare to the girls, like straight up, I'm gonna beat the crap out of you, death stare. And the girls are just kind of like, oh, what is Sarah Harvey doing here? This, like, the whole funeral scene was such a throwback to the pilot episode where we originally thought Allie was dead in Allie's funeral, and then Jenna being walked in by an escort and sitting down and everybody being like, why is Jenna here? And then when they all walk out, it was totally a throwback to the pilot episode, and I think that was smart of them to do because I think that got our interest a little bit more, seeing the throwback to the first episode, except now we're dealing with the death of Charlotte instead of Allie. So I thought that was really cool how they did that. So then after the funeral, we see all of the girls and they're walking out. Again, the throwback to the pilot episode. It was like seriously eerie of how much of a throwback it was to the pilot. But then Lorenzo ends up coming up to the girls, and Lorenzo is saying that the autopsy report revealed that Charlotte had actually been pushed from the bell tower and she had died in the bell tower before she fell. So now we are finding out the fact that Charlotte was murdered and she did not commit suicide. And Lorenzo is saying to the girls, you better be sticking around because you are going to be questioned by the police. But for the previews, they actually flash to the fact they're kind of questioning Aria in the previews, saying like, oh, we know you left the hotel, we know you had something to do with us, what did you do to Charlotte, what happened? Because obviously Aria is going to be a good target to try and blame this murder on, because she was saying how she felt so scared and she would not feel safe with having Charlotte out in the open. So obviously I think in the upcoming episodes they're really going to try and pin this on Aria. So I think that's the first thing we are going to see is Aria being questioned and Aria being accused of murdering Charlotte. So that's probably what's coming up next. But I'm not really sure on who I think right now would be the person who murdered Charlotte. I honestly think they're just going to try and do this whole thing again on us, and there's going to pop up and be an entire another A. But I'm hoping, I don't even want to say that I'm hoping. I hope they take it in a little different of a direction. Like, all the things are going to be signed by, like, A and all the same stuff that we've seen in the past, like, 5 seasons. I hope they switch it up a little bit on us. Obviously, the girls are going to be targeted by another person, and obviously this person is going to be the person who murdered Charlotte, and that's where this whole next season is going to come from, because they got to keep the show going in some way. The thing is, we still do not know who killed Allie's mother. That is something we still have not found out. We thought that A was the one that killed Allie's mother, but then we find out that Charlotte was A, and Charlotte found Allie's mom dead, so she obviously isn't the one that killed her. So I think these murders are all going to be tied in together. I think it's somebody who has something against the De Laurentiis family, because Allison's mom has been murdered and now Charlotte has been murdered, and I'm wondering if we are going to see another family member murdered from the De Laurentiis family, or that somebody in the De Laurentiis family maybe is going to be accused of these murders. I don't know. So maybe we're going to find out there's another long lost brother, sister, twin who we didn't know about, or I don't know. I'm really curious to see what they're going to take the direction of the show. But I still want to say, I still hope in some way Ren is connected. I know that is totally random, but I never got my closure with this whole Ren thing, because I was banking money that Ren was going to be A and Cece was going to be Redcoat in that season finale, and I just punched myself in the face. Did y'all see that? I was like, ugh. But no, I was banking my money on that was going to happen. And Ren still, they made him look guilty and then they never touched it again, so I still need answers on why they made Ren look guilty. So I'm still thinking he's connected in some way. That could be totally off the wall and make no damn sense now that we found out that Charlotte was actually A and now Charlotte is dead. But I don't know. My gut is still telling me Ren is connected and Ren is going to pop up again, and we're going to see him in something or somewhere on the show, and he's just going to pop up again. I cannot speak. I don't know if he is the one that murdered Charlotte, because I don't know what his motive would be, but I can't really think of who off the top of my head I think would have murdered Charlotte in this premiere episode. I'm still a little back and forth on what I think on my theories, but I'm really curious to see what you guys think and what you guys thought of the premiere. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts, so make sure to leave those in the comments. Like, who do you guys think murdered Charlotte, and how do you think the show is going to move forward, and what do you think is going to be the direction? Are you thinking they're just going to straight up put A back into the picture and they're going to start getting text messages from A and it's just all going to repeat again? Or do you think they're going to try and take it in a different direction? And also, do you think that some of our favorite couples are going to get back together? Because I think they at least got to give us one. They got to give us one of our favorite couples that gets back together, or they're going to have a lot of pissed off fans on their hands, let me tell you. But let me know if you guys want me to do these recap and reaction videos more often, because normally I just do them for the finales when it's a big finale and I'll sit here and do it. I don't think I've ever done a premiere before. I might have done one in the past, but I just thought this would be fun to do, and I had a lot of requests to do it on Twitter and Instagram, so I wanted to go ahead and do this for you guys. But if you do want to see me start doing more recap and reactions throughout the season randomly, I can totally start doing that for you guys, because these are some of my favorite videos to film and I love interacting with you guys in the comments on them. So if you want me to do them more frequently throughout the season, let me know in the comments and I can totally start doing that for you. But I think that is everything I have for you guys in this video. Again, I really hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in my next one. Bye guys!